I would now request Dr. Karshit Joshi to introduce our next speaker, please.
Our
Thank you so
next
much.
speaker is Dr. Sushil Patel from Baroda, and he will speak on past, present, and future of sulfonylureas.
So thank you all of you. Thank you very much to the organizer for giving me this opportunity. Today, the topic given to me is past, present, and the future of sulfonylureas. I am talking on this on the 3 pages: past, on what is the present scenario of the sulfonylureas, and what is the future of these particularly molecules. So, looking at the history of this molecule, this is the first available drug, the drug for glucose control, along with the metformin, are most commonly prescribed drug for the management of type 2 diabetic worldwide. This is the scenario currently also. The first known glucose lowering effect of sulfonylurea was established in 1942 when they were used for the treatment of typhoid fever. Then the sulfonylurea will be commercially available since 1950, but their use continues to be associated with the controversies. Tolbutamide was first introduced in 1956 in the Germany to reduce the blood sugar, soon followed by the other sulfonylureas, including the modern sulfonylureas. Since then, the newer sulfonylureas like the gliclazide, gliclazide MR, glibenclamide, glimepiride have retained their place in the international treatment algorithm because of their long established efficacy and the low cost of the therapy. So where is the genesis of the sulfonylureas CB controversy? That is date back in the 1960 with the program called as a University Group Diabetes Program. That was the study which was against the placebo using the tolbutamide, and surprisingly, the excess of cardiac deaths were found in the tolbutamide group compared with the placebo group, and this study was terminated. But this led to some expert to conclude that the sulfonylurea as a class were associated with increased the cardiovascular mortality, while others criticized the design and the analysis of the UGDP study. Thus question its conclusion. So again, the sulfonylurea is blamed for the hypoglycemia, weight gain, the beta cell exhaustion. There are 3 different classes of drugs which is available. First generation, which is not available right now. The second generation, like the gliclazide, glibenclamide, the glipizide, which is available right now. The third generation, that is called as the model sulfonylureas, that is the glimepiride and the gliclazide MR formulation. So what is the present scenario of this molecule? All the sulfonylureas are alike? No, it's not. Sulfonylurea differs in the at least 2 ways as far as the cardiovascular risk is concerned. All of them are not interfering with the ischemic preconditioning, specifically the model sulfonylureas and the gliclazide. Both have the different binding site and they associate and dissociate with the sulfonylurea receptor rapidly. So there are some different features of the molecule. Like one benefit are it is very inexpensive, allows once daily oral dosing, reliably reduces the blood sugar level, rarely causes a symptomatic side effect apart from the hypoglycemia, and have the pleiotropic benefit also. All of us are known about these things and all of we are using all these molecules. But if I'm saying about the maximum reduction of HbA1c, then the answer is the sulfonylureas. So average HbA1c reduction with the sulfonylurea is 1 to 2%. That is far ahead of the other molecules. It improves the control with the progressive titration of the sulfonylureas, and in the Indian population with the X-ray study, 1.5% reduction in the HbA1c has been documented. HbA1c reduction in the advanced study, that is with the gliclazide, there is a 1% HbA1c reduction, and in the gliclazide over the period of 5 years, less than 7% of HbA1c target has been achieved, even up to 80% of the patient. So that is the beauty of this molecule, that you can get the sustained HbA1c reduction also. So what about the risk of hypoglycemia with the usage of sulfonylurea? Gliclazide has shown similar kind of hypoglycemia risk compared to the gliptins and the gliflozins. And the low risk of hypoglycemia has been established with the many other modern sulfonylurea studies, like the one severe cases of hypoglycemia in the RCT of 19 RCT studies meta-analysis, that the Chan et al. Has studied 9 RCTs, and they have shown that hypoglycemia risk is very low, that is 2% only. Gliclazide is recommended for use in the Ramadan, particularly gliclazide MR formulation. It can be safely used in the evening dose, to control the fasting and the other part of the sugar level also. Hypoglycemia and the weight gain, there are real world studies also that far fewer episodes of severe hypoglycemia with the glimepiride, no significant linear change in the body weight with this molecule. So weight gain is particularly due to the control of the blood sugar, and that is because of it reduces the glucose toxicity and it enhances the absorption of sugar and utilization of the sugar level. So glimepiride is weight neutral in the study that is done in the 2016 with a 3,000 patient. No significant change in the metformin plus glimepiride group. The weight neutrality of the gliclazide MR is established in the advanced study for the 5 years. There is no significant change in the weight. And regarding to the CV safety of the molecule, the Carolina has put all this controversy at the end. Carolina was the study was glimepiride one-on-one study with the Tradjenta, that is linagliptin. This study fully addresses the decade-long unresolved, highly debated CV mortality controversies for the sulfonylureas. This study found that linagliptin was non-inferior to glimepiride for the CV outcome. This study also found that the glimepiride does not increase the cardiovascular risk related to the linagliptin, and this is reassuring as many of the patients are on the glimepiride. And the similar kind is true for the other trials also, like the VADT trial for the 10 years. It has shown that 17% reduction of relative risk in the major CV events. There are other studies with the gliclazide glimepiride. They have both shown that the CV safety of the molecule. Gliclazide has shown lower risk of all-cause mortality and the CV-related mortality in the different studies. In the advanced study that is for the gliclazide MR, the major macrovascular and microvascular risk reduction is 10%. Even for the nephropathy part, 21% reduction in the nephropathy was seen in the advanced study in the intensive, 65% reduction in the end-stage renal disease, and 20% reversal to the normal albuminuria also. 46% reduction in the ESRD after the follow-up of 10 years. So it is established that the gliclazide MR is a safe molecule as far as the cardiovascular and even the renal safety. It is endorsed by the different organizations and the different bodies also. So ADA in the 2018 recommended, it has shown that modern sulfonylureas are CV safe. IDF again in the clinical practice recommendation in 2017, it has shown that it is CV safe and safe for the CHF also. Sulfonylurea and the metformin durability. The study has shown for the 20,000 patient, it has shown that the DPP-4 and the metformin combination, it has shown more treatment failure for the early intensification compared to the sulfonylurea and the metformin. It is well established in the UKPDS study that no solid evidence of beta cell exhaustion in the clinical setting over the period of 6 years, which is both obvious in the non-obese patient and the obese patient also. And the impact of the beta cell function, the study was done with the usage of the C-peptide. It has shown that there is no detrimental effect on the beta cell functions, and it is cost effective also, because the cost is a major concern. If we are asking the patient about the cost of the therapy, the cost of the therapy is major concern for the patient regarding that thing. And what about the guidelines? The guideline has recommended the sulfonylurea in the second line agent or the initial combination or the combination of metformin and other drugs are used as a third line agent also, or the fixed dose combination has been recommended. And it is beneficial in the many other formulations also, and it is beneficial for apart from this metformin, you can use other drugs also, but it is far better than the other molecules also. So IDF recommendation as a monotherapy or initial combination therapy or the dual therapy, WHO recommended as a second line of the treatment. ADA ESD statement, you can see over there, when the cost is a major issue, then the sulfonylurea are the choice of the therapy after the metformin. And in the other part also, the sulfonylurea are always there in that guideline. So it cannot be removed from the guideline because it is time-tested molecule. ACE guideline, again, it has shown that if monotherapy, again, with the usage of the caution, but it is still there in the sulfonylurea are having the place in the guidelines. And in the era of the COVID, metformin and sulfonylurea shows no concern for use in the COVID-19 pandemic. So what is the future? The sulfonylurea clearly have shown that it has a place in the type 2 diabetes management, and it is an important part of the management because it has a potent glycemic effect, durable glycemic control, weight neutral, less risk of hypoglycemia, cardio safety, cost effective, robust evidence is there right now. So it will be there in the future. So the past of the sulfonylurea is beautiful. You had used these molecules in so many years. Presently, we are using equivocally with the other molecules also. We cannot predict the future of the molecule, but it will be the same as we are using, but it may change according to the newer data are coming up. So again, sulfonylurea is there. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sushil Patel.